Sony details the importance of PS5, PS4 and PC in its strategy meeting. Stellar Blade and PS5 hit huge in the US in April. My state of play predictions and more. Let's get to the PlayStation news. PS5 may be selling really well, more on that in a minute, but Sony has said PS4 is still important for them as Sony Interactive presented its strategy meeting for the new fiscal year this week. SIE co-CEO Hideaki Nishino showed the engaged user base on console totals 97 million users, with half on each PS4 and PS5. Overall, PS5 has been the most profitable generation for Sony, with an insane $106 billion in sales and $10 billion in earnings. PS5 is also making people spend more per user with a total of $731 across games, DLCs, services and accessories, up from $580 on PS4, but let's remember Sony raised prices on everything this gen. Sony's new gen console also surpasses PS4 in total gameplay hours as it has reached 2.4 billion in comparison to PS4's 1.4 billion. Nishino said that PS4 is still an important part of their business, but PS5 players remain more engaged than the previous generation, which they expect to continue. Sony said in another meeting last week that they have work to do to make players transition from PS4 to PS5. Besides that, they will aim to introduce PS5 to other players with accessories and extend to new devices such as PCs and maybe even mobile. Regarding PC, co-CEO Herman Holtz reinforced their strategy, indicating that live services will continue to launch on PC day one, but single-player games take a more strategic focus and will launch after console, with the goal being to make PC fans interested in the sequel for that franchise on PS5. What do you think of Sony's approach for all these platforms? Voice your thoughts in the comments. The overall console market may be having a rough year with big drops compared to last year, but PS5 continues dominating, and during April in the US it did so with the help of Stellar Blade, Helldivers 2, and believe it or not, Microsoft. PS5 was the best console sold in the US in April in both units and dollar sales, with the Switch being second in units and the Xbox second in dollar sales. With these results, PS5 is still trending ahead of PS4 by 8% in the US, according to Matt Piscatella from Circana. The segment with all three consoles sold 43% less than last year, since Sony sold a lot after recovering from a stock shortage, and Nintendo had the Switch Zelda bundle that launched ahead of the game. In accessories, the PlayStation Portal was one of the highlights for April, as it was the best-selling accessory for the month and 2024 so far. As for games, it was a huge month for Stellar Blade and Developer Shift Up, as the game debuted straight at number 1. It was followed by Helldivers 2 immovable from the second spot. Then Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 claimed one place from the previous month. At number 4 there was Sea of Thieves, with the PS5 version making the game jump from number 55. It was similar to another Xbox game for PS5, Grounded, which had a huge jump from 167 but stayed out of the top 10 at number 12. The effect of the Fallout TV series pushed Fallout 4 from 87 to number 5, and Fallout 76 also had a big jump from 159 to number 8. MLB The Show 24 dropped from number 3 to 6, Dragon's Dogma 2 fell from 1 to 7, and Hogwarts Legacy claimed one place to close the top 10. What do you think about the sales results for PS5 and Stellar Blade? Sound off in the comments. Before going into the state of play predictions, here are some quick stories you need to know. Going back to Stellar Blade, the game will be getting more outfits, with director Kim Hong-tae telling Famitsu they plan to add more in the future. Besides that, they are working on a photo mode, but it will take a while for it to launch. Sony announced they were looking into PC support for PSVR 2 back in February, and they enabled PC access to developers in March. Now it seems they are almost ready to enable it for consumers, as a certification for a PSVR 2 PC adapter has been published online. Sony said the PC support would be enabled later in 2024. After Neil Druckmann called out Sony for misquoting him in an interview saying their next game could quote-unquote redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming, Sony removed the interview after finding quote-unquote several significant errors and inaccuracies. They also apologized to Druckmann for misrepresenting his words and any negative impact it may have caused on his team. After a decade, CD Projekt has confirmed they have stopped working on Cyberpunk 2077, after the release of the Phantom Liberty expansion and a few patches early this year. As of April 2024, they are full steam ahead with over 400 developers working on Polaris, which is The Witcher 4. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 launch details have leaked ahead of the event happening after the Xbox showcase. Data miner Bob UK found the game will have standard, cross-gen and Vault editions, with the latter getting bonus operators, black sail, weapon skins and Gum. Pre-ordering any version gives you a Frank Woods operator for Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone multiplayer in 3 variants: Classic, Zombies and Numbers. Now let's talk about the upcoming state of play happening today and what games could be announced there. A reminder that the event will run a bit over 30 minutes, covering 14 games across PS5 and PSVR 2, including PlayStation Studios games. Probably 3 out of those 14 games will be PSVR 2 titles, and Sony's first party has not committed to the device outside of Horizon and a few patches, so probably this will be smaller games and maybe a PC support launch window. We have 2 games confirmed to be making an appearance from reliable leaker Bill Kun. The first is Concord from Firewalk Studios, launching later this year. The game is said to be inspired by Guardians of the Galaxy and we should get a gameplay reveal. The other is the Astrobot game for PS5 from Team Asobi, and there weren't a lot of details other than it will have a Fox character and a desert location, but expect this to appear as well. Bill Kun reinforced this week that the God of War Ragnarok PC reveal is imminent after he said the game was coming back in May. Related to God of War, there have been rumors of the original games getting remastered. I'm going to say this is probably tied to the new PS2 classics on PlayStation Plus, so maybe they announce something like that. Moving to another rumor, Tom Henderson from Insider Gaming talked about a LEGO Horizon Adventures game, which is Horizon Forbidden West but LEGO with realistic graphics. Expect that to be revealed, but nothing about the multiplayer, and much less about a third game. Sony announced an Until Dawn remake back in the January State of Play, so expect that to get a release window. And since they are bringing back the IP, there have been rumors of Firesprite working on a sequel, and I'm betting this gets a reveal here. My expectations are low for this event, given Sony has said they don't expect to release big first-party games for PS5 before April 2025, but I would say they will show at least one big thing that could be either Wolverine or the Venom DLC. I know Insomniac said this was not the time for Wolverine, but I'm going to predict they were misleading fans. If none of that is in the event, maybe Sucker Punch shows Ghost of Tsushima 2, given there were rumors about that with the release of the game on PC, as Sony does that to push sequels. I don't expect anything from the rest of the studios, including Naughty Dog, Sony Bend, Santa Monica and Bluepoint. Those will probably be on a showcase in the future. China Hero Project game Lost Souls Aside has been in development for a while. It was approved for release in China back in April, so I think there's a chance we finally get a release date. As for third-party support, the event is happening just before the Silent Hill transmission, so we'll learn the release date on the State of Play and likely have an expanded look with Konami. I'm hoping they will show more Metal Gear Solid 3 at the State of Play, but it won't launch by the end of the year as Sony hinted with a trailer in January. Remedy has hinted at future DLC for Alan Wake 2 with a Twitter account called Poison Pill Entertainment, and since Sony has featured Alan Wake in previous events, it will likely be announced here. I was really thinking Capcom was going to finally show Resident Evil 9 in this event, but after those golden comments it won't be there. Instead, Capcom will be at the event with Monster Hunter Wilds, given leaker Bill Kun said that in a recent tweet, but there's a chance it could be at Summer Game Fest too. Again, have your expectations in check since this will probably not have many big reveals, but we'll see what happens. Do you agree with these predictions? Which other games do you think will appear? Let me know your thoughts about that and any of this news in the comments below. If you want more PlayStation and gaming news, remember to subscribe and hit the bell to never miss an episode. You can also check out the previous video where we talk about all the Days of Play deals, new PlayStation Plus games, Resident Evil remake rumors, and more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.